What's up guys, and welcome back to another episode of the Pokemon DataDex with me, TheOneIntegral. Last week we covered the water ground type Swampert and of course his Mega Evolution, and I asked you guys which Pokemon we should cover this week, and there was a choice of pink Pokemon. There was either Chansey or Sylveon, and Sylveon came out on top, so that's who we're going to be covering this week. But, of course, we have next week's vote to sort out before we jump into that. So, next week, because obviously, again, we're on the run up to 100 episodes, so I'm throwing in some more that we wouldn't usually get. So, usually we do like one Mega and one Legendary every 10. But, of course, you know, up to 100, so we're throwing even more here. We're going to have a couple Megas and a couple Legendaries too. Next week is going to be a Legendary. It's going to be a Water-type Legendary as well. So, do you want to see Suicune or Keldeo covered next week? If you want to see Suicune, comment Suicune. If you want to see Keldeo, comment Keldeo. Simple as that. But for now, this is going to be jumping into Sylveon, I suppose. That was just terrible. But anyway, Sylveon. It is the most 700 in the National Pokédex and is a pure fairy type, being the intertwining Pokemon. Bit of a weird species name, but we'll go with it. Sylveon is number 700. It's one of those nice clean numbers. So number 700, let's see what you got for us. Dimension wise, it stands at 3 foot and 3 inches or 1 meter tall, so it's a pretty small Pokemon, you know, sort of similar size as a cat, maybe a bit larger of course, and of course it is one of the evolutions if you didn't know already. It weighs 51.8 pounds or 23.5 kilograms, depending on whether you want to use metric or imperial units, and breeding wise it's in the field egg group as all the evolutions are, and again like all the evolutions, the male-female split is 87.5% male and 12.5% female. Very low rate for the females here, but that just is akin to why Eevee is so rare. In terms of the evolution line, as I mentioned several times already, it is one of the evolutions, so it evolves from Eevee, but of course Sylveon's evolution is a bit more complicated than the others. It has to level up while knowing a fairy type move and having at least 2 affection hearts, so you have to use Pokemon Me and of course train it as well. But yeah, it's the hardest evolution to get in my opinion at least, but it could be worth it, we'll see later on. Base stat wise, if we take a look and throw them up on screen now, we can see its highest base stat is a special defense at 130, then down to special attack at 110, then we have health points at 95, attack and defense at 65, and then finally speed at 60. So it's a slow Pokemon, but it has very high special stats, mainly special defense. Well, you know, special defense is the highest one, but its special attack is pretty good as well. Its physical stats are pretty low, so you don't really want to be using it as a physical tank, or obviously as a physical attacker, but looking at Sylveon you wouldn't expect either of those things to be true anyway. So Sylveon is basically, it's a special Pokemon, it's specially based, and that's what we're going to be focusing on. Ability wise, for Sylveon it has 2 available, a normal and a hidden ability. Its normal ability is Cute Charm, which means, you know, if you use the contact move against Sylveon, there's a chance you'll become infatuated, which can be quite annoying, especially, I mean, it's a good defense against physical moves, I guess, because also you have a lower physical defense than your special defense, so if they do use a physical defense to expose that weakness, then of course they could be infatuated and then sort of get rolled up in that. But of course it would be better if Cute Charm worked with special moves as well, because obviously then you get the benefit for that too. But it's a good ability, it's just not amazing. It doesn't really work with Sylveon's strengths too much. Its hidden ability, however, does help out a bit more, and that is Pixelate, which turns normal type moves into fairy type moves, gives it stab because Sylveon it was a fairy type, and it also increases the power of these moves slightly as well. So some normal type moves are going to get increased power, which, you know, means that using normal type moves might be better for you than using fairy type moves, and we'll see that when we look at the moves and the sets later on. But that's Sylveon, and if we then jump into the type effectivenesses, being a pure fairy type, obviously it has the fairy type stuff to it, in that it resists fighting, bug and dark type moves. Not really that common moves overall, but there can be some useful resistances in some cases. It's weak to 2 types, poison and steel. Not too common of course, but they are more common now that fairy type is in the game, but still they're not amazingly common. And it is immune to the dragon type moves, so it is quite useful. You can switch on outrages or something along those lines. If you can see a Draco Meteor coming your way, you can switch your Sylveon in and you can use it like that. But of course, it takes neutral from all the other types. It doesn't have a secondary type to sort of combine with. It's just all these other types it takes neutral from, and that's quite a lot of types there. That's what, 12 types. Fairly common types in there as well, but of course, it's not the worst. You could be weak to them, for example. So it's a decent typing, it's just nothing special. If we then look at the moves that you could use for a Sylveon, we'll start off as Eevee actually, at level 33. It can only be learnt as an Eevee. and that is Baton Pass. So you can't learn it as Sylveon, so you have to get Eevee to level 33 if you want to learn this. There's no other way to learn it. And of course Baton Pass is basically just a move to switch you out, as well as transferring your stat changes, which is pretty good, you know. Baton Pass can also be used to just switch out and make use of moves like Wish and such. Then we have the last level up move here, and this is a Sylveon now, and that's level 37, and that's Moonblast. This is your fairy type move basically. This is the only fairy type move you'd want to have on your sort of, you know, roster, because it's the strongest, you know. You wouldn't really want to have a weaker one, of course. Moonblast is pretty decent. From memory, I'm pretty sure it can lower special attack or special defense, one of those, but it's a pretty, you know, it does decent damage. That's the main sort of factor about it, and there's no downside to it really. So that's your main fairy type stab there. Then we have a couple of TMs, of course. First up is TMO3 Psyshock, Psychic type move. You could also have Psychic as well. It's not listed on this list here, but of course Psyshock is probably better since it uses the opponent's physical defense. So if you've got Moonblast to deal with special defense, you've got Psyshock to deal with physical defense. So if you come up against the Pokemon with, you know, particularly high special defense, you can use Psyshock and sort of, you know, make use of that. So it's always good to have that move on there instead of Psychic. You could run Psychic because it has slightly higher power, but Psyshock is probably better in this instance. Then we have TMO4 Calm Mind, which is a Psychic type move that, you know, the status move simply increases your special attack and your special defense, Sylveon's two best stats. So sort of harmonizing with your strengths there, and of course can be used to some effect if you use it in the right way, of course. Then we have TMO6 Toxic, because Sylveon is, I mean, it has a higher special attack, but it's not the sort of the Pokemon that's gonna, you know, roll out of control and sweep through the rest of your team. Toxic is an option if you want to go for a defensive Sylveon and sort of focus more on restoring your own health points while lowering theirs slightly. Toxic is an option. Then we have TM10 Hidden Power, which it can take any type, of course. In terms of what typing you want Hidden Power to be, well, your two weaknesses are Poison and Steel, so there's nothing really you could think there apart from Ground. So Hidden Power Ground is probably your best option there. You could even go for Ice if you want to deal with Dragon types, you know, being immune to them, of course. You can fire back at them as well, but of course you have a Fairy type move to do that too. So TM10 Hidden Power, probably best to use as the Ground type move, but of course you could use any type, you know, just to give yourself some more coverage depending on what you don't have on your current team of Pokemon. Then we have TM17 Protect. This goes hand in hand with Toxic and that sort of stally strategy I spoke about. In, you know, every other turn you can use Protect, get some health points back with leftovers and such. And of course if you're running Wish as well, you can go for Wish Protect and, you know, guarantee that you're not going to die basically. Then we have TM30 Shadow Ball, another attacking move here, Ghost type, so it's just more coverage basically. It's a pretty strong move as well, and there's nothing too much to say apart from that. And then we have TM90, our final TM, which is Substitute, which again can go hand in hand with stuff like Protect and Toxic, because if you just substitute and then just sort of heal yourself up behind it while they're slowly dying from Toxic, you can work it in that way. Or of course you can go with Calm Mind and Substitute and get a very powerful Sylveon behind the sub. Then we have an egg move, which of course is Wish. I've mentioned it several times already. Powerful move because of course it restores a percentage of your health points, but of course you can also Baton Pass out to another Pokemon, and of course Sylveon can have pretty high health points, so if you go to a Pokemon with low health points, they're going to have more restored basically. So Wish is very powerful in that aspect. Then we have two tutor moves to finish off, one being Heal Bell. You could think about running this because of course Sylveon with a high special defense is sort of susceptible to Toxic, because obviously if you get Toxic there's no way you can counteract that unless of course you have Heal Bell, which is going to heal your entire team. So that's why it's good for Sylveon and Toxic of course, but of course Heal Bell is going to heal your entire team, so any Pokemon in your party is going to be sort of revived of stat afflictions, which is pretty good. You know, it's always good to have one of those on your team. Then we have Hyper Voice. Hyper Voice is a special normal type move. Its power is either slightly above or about the same as Moonblast, but if you use it with Pixelate, its power increases and it becomes the most powerful fairy type move you have at your disposal. So if you're running Pixelate and you're planning to go for all-out offensive, it's best to run Hyper Voice in that sort of capacity, just to give you all the power. It's better than Moonblast if you have Pixelate. So, I mean, there's no real reason to use Cute Charm over Pixelate, but Moonblast is an option for you to run as well. Those are all the moves, the highlighted moves you could use with Sylveon. So if we then move on to the sets, we're going to have 4 sets to look at. The first one is going to be sort of your generic attacking one for Sylveon. The second one is going to be a Wish set with sort of more defensive. The third one is going to be a substitute Calm Mind, as I mentioned just now. And the last one is going to be an offensive Calm Mind. So, we'll just jump into the first one and get it down. The moveset is going to be Hyper Voice, Psyshock, Hidden Power, and Baton Pass. Ability is going to be Pixelate, Nature is Modest, Out item is a Choice Specs, and the EVs are going to be Maximum Special Attack, 240 in health points, and then 16 in speed. So the moveset, Hyper Voice, is turned into a fairy type with Pixelate, and that's your main stab basically, or your only stab. Then you have Psyshock, which is more coverage, and again against special defensive Pokemon it can be used against. Hidden Power, as I mentioned, you're best running ground there, because of course if you come up against a steel type, you're sort of screwed because Fairy and Psychic are both resisted by it, so you'll want to have ground there. Or of course Fire works as well, but ground is also good against poison types. Baton Pass is here because it goes with a held item, which is a Choice Specs, because if you switch in and you think, whoa, wait, oh dear, I don't want to be here, and you can Baton Pass out. And really that's the only, you could run any other move there. You could put Shadow Ball in there, for example, if you just want another option, and just go full Choice Specs, but it's just there for the sort of the flexibility. So ability, don't need to speak about that because it's just going along with Hyper Voice there. Nature is a modest one to increase our special attack and lower our physical attack, so we're not using it, and we just want all the power here. And Choice Specs again is increasing our power to maximum along with the maximum special attack EVs. We have 240 in health points and 16 in speed. Speed is only just throwing a few left, a few more in there. It's best to have 240 and 60 rather than max and the rest in, because then you get more stats out of the points basically if you dish out this way. So health points you can get a nice bulk as well, and then a bit of speed just makes you a tiny bit more faster, but really there's nothing too useful there. How would you use this set? Well, it's a choice set, so really there's nothing too much to it. It's a case of switching in, using your attack. Of course you want to have Hyper Voice if you can, or if it's a bad situation for you, you want to Baton Pass to get out there, or just go for offensive moves, because that's what Sylveon can do. It's not the fastest Pokemon, however, so you need to remember that. Then, second set, if we just move straight up to this one, we have moveset wise, we have Wish, Protect, Moonblast, and then the final one we have Shadow Ball, Baton Pass, Toxic, or Heal Bell. Ability is Cute Charm this time, or you could run Pixelate if you want to throw Hyper Voice in there instead of Moonblast, but again we're not really going for power in this sense, so you won't want to go for Cute Charm, because of course you could, it gives you some edge of defensive sort of protection in case you can infatuate some enemies. Then Nature is a bold one. This is going to increase your physical defense, I believe, and lower your physical attack, because we're not using it. So nice bold Nature here is going to sort of counteract our weakness almost. Held items are leftovers, because leftovers restoration there. And the EVs we have maximum health points and defense, because we want to boost our defense up even more, and the rest in special attack. So basically what this set looks at doing is bringing your physical defense up to par with your special defense, so you can survive for as long as you can basically. Move wise, we have Wish and Protect, which is your main sort of duo. You want to wish and protect the next turn, so you get the guaranteed wish in and you restore your health points up. And if you keep doing that, unless they power up themselves up, it's unlikely you're going to be able to take it in that sort of wish turn. Moonblast is our attacking move if you want to use it. Of course you're going to run Hyper Voice if you want to run Pixelate too. And then we have Shadow Ball, Baton Pass, Toxic, or Heal Bell. Shadow Ball is a secondary offensive option if you want to use it as more of a offensive/defensive set. Baton Pass is your option here if you want to go for Wish and have Baton Passes sort of chaining on from there. Toxic is your option if you want to go for, throw a Toxic out, and then while you Wish and Protect over and over, it's actually working away in the background there. Or you can run Heal Bell here if you're looking to sort of outlast everyone on sort of the field completely, because of course in this case you can, if you do get toxic poison, you can Heal Bell and then you're completely fine. If you don't have Heal Bell, you're sort of screwed, because obviously you've got to switch out and then get another Pokemon to heal you up, because otherwise eventually you're going to get taken out by the poison. How would you use this set? Well, it's a defensive set. You sort of want to go in. If you've got Toxic, throw Toxic out. If not, you just want to start off, go for an offensive move to start off with. As soon as you start using health points, you Wish or you Protect pretty much every other turn anyway, just to get those leftovers usages. But as soon as your health drops to about a quarter, half-ish, use Wish, go for Protect, and you just keep on going. Throw your Moonblast or your Shadow Balls in where you can, and slowly whittle down the enemy. It's not the most exciting set to use, but it is fairly effective. If we then move on to our third set, we have basically another offensive one, except this one has an offensive side to it, and that is the Substitute Calm Mind set. Moveset wise, it won't surprise you to find out we have Substitute and Calm Mind for the first two moves. Then we have Moonblast, and then finally we have Shadow Ball or Hidden Power. Ability is Cute Charm once more. Nature is a bold one again, held item again as leftovers, and the EVs are the same as last time, max health points in defense and the rest in special attack. So basically, Again, we're adding a defensive edge here because we want to be both defensive and offensive, and because we have Calm Mind to increase our special defense, we don't really want to put anything in that one, so we're just putting it all in physical defense, hence the bold nature and the maximum defense EVs, and the cute charm as well. Of course, you could run Pixelate and Hyper Voice in this case if you want to. Substituting Calm Mind is your sort of your combo basically. You want to go and you want to Calm Mind straight away. Hopefully you'll be against the special attacker. If you're against the physical attacker, it might be best to actually take Sylveon away and use it later on when there's no more physical attackers about, because otherwise this set is not going to fare too well, because of course there's no point in boosting your special defense up 5 stages if a physical attacker is just going to come in and hit you with a poison jab, for example. So yeah, so you want to sort of figure out when you're going to use it in the battle, but when you go in, you want to Calm Mind. Then you want to probably sub after that, or you can even sub to begin with, and see where you go from there. Leftovers are going to work in the background and sort of restore your health points behind the sub while you carry on Calm Minding. Once you've got 2 or 3 of those up, really you want to get as many of those as possible up, but then you can start attacking with Moonblast and then Shadow Ball or Hidden Power. Again, I'd recommend a ground Hidden Power, since that's going to counter both your weaknesses, and we don't have Side Shot this time, so you definitely want to have ground to cover both poison and steel. And then it's really, once you Calm Minded a few bits, you're almost indestructible, especially. It's just the physical attackers you want to watch out for, and then once you got a few boosts, you can start dealing some damage back. So yeah, it's just a case of watching out for the physical attackers there. So let's move on to the last set. So this time we're looking at offensive Calm Mind, so it's slightly similar but it's slightly different. We have Calm Mind again, along with Moonblast, Shadow Ball and Hidden Power. Ability is again is Cute Charm, but you could run Pixelate here. I'd almost recommend it over Cute Charm here. Cute Charm is again the defensive option. Nature is Modest this time because we want an increase in special attack. We don't really care about defenses as much anymore because we're not looking to outlast the enemy. Held items are Life Orb as well for the extra power, and then the EVs we got maximum health points, maximum special attack now, and the rest in speed. So Calm Mind is what you want to do as soon as you get into the battle. You want to Calm Mind a couple of times just to get your special attack and your special defense up basically. And then once you've done that, you can start throwing out some attacks: Moonblast, Shadow Ball, Hidden Power, and of course Hyper Voice. If you've got Pixelate as your ability, that's really up to you whether you're on Cute Charm or Pixelate, because of course Cute Charm is going to offer you the defensive option, the protection, or Pixelate is going to offer you the power, or the extra power. Modest Nature is going to increase our special attack and lower our physical attack because we're just going for all out power here. It's not really worth running Timid here since the increase in speed is not going to be a huge increase since it's already pretty low. So it's really not worth it in my opinion, at least, because you can survive some moves before you get taken out. Held item is a Life Orb for all the power. You can't run a choice item here because we want to use Calm Mind and then switch. So Life Orb it is. This does mean eventually, after enough attacks, you are going to get killed by yourself. So you want to use at least 2 or 3 Calm Minds, or as many as you can really, before you start attacking, just to get the maximum power out of your Sylveon. And then the EVs again, maximum health points just to increase our health points even more, just to cover both defenses, because we don't really need speed that much. Yeah, we're throwing a few in at the end just to give it a couple extra points, but there's no point in doing maximum speed because it's not, the increase is going to be negligible and it's not going to be useful to our stats. So obviously you have the maximum health points and the maximum special attack to get all the power and some bulk as well. And yeah, how would you use that set? I mentioned already, go in, Calm Mind a few times and then start throwing power out. That's pretty much it. There's nothing too much extra to talk about there. So that's it for the competitive sets, and that's it for Sylveon in general. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to hit the like button. Of course, remember to vote for next week's Pokemon, either the legendary Pokemon from the Johto region, Suicune, or the legendary Pokemon from the Unova region, Keldeo. Let me know which one I want to see by either commenting Suicune or Keldeo down below in the comment section, and the one with the most votes will be covered next week in next week's episode. Who would have guessed? But for now, this is going to be it for me for today. I'll be seeing you next time. Thank you for watching. Goodbye, my friends.